The art of starting over. Welcome back. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Life in Focus, the podcast where we talk about daily life, personal growth, and all the little things that make us human. I hope you are having a wonderful week wherever you are listening from. Maybe you are walking your dog, commuting to work, or just relaxing with a nice cup of coffee. Today, we are going to talk about a topic that affects every single one of us at some point in our lives: starting over. Starting something new from scratch can be absolutely terrifying, right? Whether it's moving to a new city, changing your career, starting a new relationship, or even learning a new language like you are doing right now. It forces us to leave our comfort zones. And let's be honest, the comfort zone is a very cozy place to be. But nothing ever grows there. So, to explore this idea, I want to share a story with you today. It's a story about a man named Arthur, a small town, and a very old clock. The story of Arthur and the stopped clock. Arthur was 62 years old, and for his entire life, he had been an accountant. He lived a very predictable life. Every morning, he woke up at exactly 6:30 a.m., drank black coffee, and walked the same route to his office. He liked numbers because numbers never lied. They were safe. They were logical. However, one day, the company Arthur worked for closed down unexpectedly. Just like that, after 35 years, Arthur did not have a job anymore. When he told his friends, they looked at him with pity. "What a terrible thing to happen at your age," they said. And for a few weeks, Arthur agreed with them. He sat in his armchair, looked at the walls, and felt completely lost. The routine that had defined his life was gone. He felt like an old machine that had suddenly run out of power. One afternoon, to escape his heavy thoughts, Arthur decided to take a walk in a part of the town he had never visited before. He wandered down a narrow, cobblestone street and noticed a tiny, dusty shop with a sign that read "The Timekeeper." Curious, he pushed the door. A little bell rang. Inside, the shop was filled with hundreds of clocks. There were grandfather clocks, small pocket watches, modern clocks, and beautiful antique ones. The air smelled of old paper and machine oil. Behind the counter sat an old woman with sharp, bright blue eyes. Her name was Clara. "Can I help you find something, or are you just killing time?" Clara asked with a smile. "I think time is killing me, actually," Arthur replied, surprised by his own honesty. He explained his situation to Clara, how he felt too old to start a new career, and how lost he was without his daily routine. Clara listened patiently, nodding her head. Then, she reached under the counter and pulled out a beautiful, old pocket watch made of silver. It was damaged, and the hands were not moving. "Look at this watch, Arthur," Clara said. "It stopped ticking 10 years ago. The internal gears are blocked with dust, and the mainspring is broken. To most people, it is useless. But do you think its life is over?" Arthur looked at the intricate details of the silver case. "Well, it depends. Can it be fixed?" "Exactly," Clara smiled. "It can be fixed. But to fix it, I have to take it completely apart. I have to remove every single gear, clean off the old oil, replace the broken parts, and put it back together. It takes time, patience, and a willingness to see the watch in pieces before it can tick again. Humans are the same. Sometimes, our old lives need to break apart so we can clean out the dust and build something better." That conversation changed everything for Arthur. He realized he didn't want to sit in his armchair anymore. He asked Clara if he could become her apprentice. Clara was surprised, an accountant wanting to fix clocks, but she saw the sincerity in his eyes and agreed. The next few months were incredibly difficult for Arthur. His fingers felt big and clumsy holding the tiny gears. He made mistakes. He accidentally broke a fragile spring on his first week. He often felt frustrated and thought, I am too old for this. I should go back to what I know. But he didn't give up. He practiced every day. He learned to be patient with the clocks, and more importantly, he learned to be patient with himself. 1 year later, Arthur was sitting at his own workbench in Clara's shop. On the table was the same silver pocket watch Clara had shown him on their first meeting. Arthur had spent 3 weeks working on it. He gently placed the final gear into position, wound the watch, and held his breath. Tick, tick, tick. The watch was alive again. Arthur looked out the window at the sunny street and smiled. He was no longer just an unemployed accountant. He was a clockmaker. He had started over, and for the first time in his life, he felt truly alive. Reflection: what can we learn? Host: I love that story because it reminds us of a fundamental truth: it is never too late to reinvent yourself. Arthur's story highlights 3 important lessons about starting over, and I want you to think about these in your own life. Embracing the messy middle. First, starting over is messy. When Clara fixes a clock, she has to take it completely apart. The workbench becomes covered in messy pieces. When you start something new, like learning English, you will feel messy. You will make grammar mistakes, you will forget words, and your pronunciation won't be perfect. But remember, the mess is not failure. The mess is just the middle part of the process. You cannot build the final product without going through the pieces first. Age and time are relative. Second, don't let age or time define your potential. Arthur was over 60 years old. Society often tells us that after a certain age, we should stop changing. We should just stay on the track we chose when we were 20. But that is a trap. Your life doesn't have a fixed expiration date for growth. Whether you are 20, 40, or 70, today is the youngest you will ever be for the rest of your life. Use it. The power of patience. And third, patience is key. Arthur wanted to quit during his first week because his hands felt clumsy. When we try something new, we expect to be good at it immediately. We compare our beginner level with someone else's expert level. That isn't fair to yourself. Give yourself permission to be bad at something until you can become good at it. Conclusion: your next step. Host: as we come to the end of today's episode, I have a question for you, my dear listeners. Is there something in your life that you need to start over? Maybe it's a healthy habit, a project you abandoned, a book you stopped reading, or perhaps you need to restart your dedication to mastering English. Whatever it is, do not be afraid of the stopped clock. Do not be afraid to take the pieces apart and clean out the dust. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend who might need a little inspiration today. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and remember, every second is a new chance to start ticking again. Goodbye for now.